masyarakat Indonesia, masih dari gedung Bawaslu di Jalan MH Thamrin nomor 14 Jakarta. Kali ini Bawaslu Info akan menyajikan berita terkait dengan kunjungan International Foundation for Electoral Systems atau IFES. Dalam kunjungannya ini, IFES bermaksud untuk berdiskusi dengan Bawaslu terkait dengan keuangan politik di Indonesia. Dan dalam kesempatan tersebut, tim Bawaslu Info memiliki kesempatan untuk berwawancara dengan Political Finance Advisor Mr. Magnus Ohman. Berikut kita saksikan cuplikan wawancaranya.
Hello, Mr. Magnus. Thank you for visiting Bawaslu. So I'm gonna ask you about some question about your visitation today to Bawaslu. Can you tell us about your visitation today?
Well, IFES is working with supporting initiatives to oversee and monitor the role of money in politics. And Bawaslu has given its role in Indonesian politics and elections, of course, has an important role in making sure that that happens in an effective manner in line with Indonesian legislation.
So you just met Bawaslu Commissioner and you already have a little presentation to Bawaslu Commissioners. So what IFES told to Bawaslu Commissioner about the money politics?
Well, we had a very interesting conversation about the different challenges and opportunities that Indonesia is facing regarding the role of money in politics. And money, it's a lot of people, a lot of elections, and quite a lot of money.
Okay.
And hence a lot of interesting challenges to be faced.
By the conversation you had with the commissioner, what is the most important things about the financial system in political party or in the election in Indonesia, or about the money politics, the most important things and the most obstacle that will be a big problem in Indonesia politics?
The most important thing is to carefully consider how you want politics to function and what role that money can play and should play in that political system. And from that discussion, you would consider what regulations should be in place in Indonesia, what rules are the most suitable for this context, and very importantly, in our discussion with Bawaslu, is how can regulations actually be implemented? One of the points I made to the Commissioner is that the world is full of regulations that are being ignored, and that is not helpful to anyone.
How do you think about the Indonesian election regulation about money politics so far, by far?
I think that there is a need to consider the legislation from the view of where Indonesians want their politics to be and how they want the process to function. There are issues to be addressed regarding what should be allowed and what should not be allowed regarding donations, the size of donations and spending, and the issue of state funding on political parties, for example, where Indonesia has changed the rules a number of times over the years.
You said earlier that IFES already had studied about comparison election regulation in many countries. So can you tell us about how Indonesian election regulation compared to another countries, especially in regulate money politics?
There are a lot of big variation, as you say, around the world in how these rules are being implemented, how these rules function. And I think for Indonesia, there are still issues that need to be addressed to make a comprehensive framework. And perhaps most importantly, though, it's not the rules themselves, but how they are implemented in practice. And there's still quite a bit of work to be done in that area in the Indonesian context.
How about the civil society's position in to make a change in the election regulation, especially about money politics?
Well, what we've seen around the world is that there is no country, there's no place, regardless of where it is, where we can get an effective oversight without the involvement of civil society. It is essential to have public institutions like Bawaslu involved in this role. We must have rules, we must have financial reporting by parties and candidates, but it's never sufficient. It is impossible to do this without an active involvement of civil society groups, community-based groups, media, and so on. So they have an essential role to play. And there needs to be a dialogue between civil society, political parties, state institutions, and everyone else involved.
What do you think Bawaslu have to do to the future to make a best position to control money politic and to improve the regulation about election to make more transparent and improve the accountabilities? What Bawaslu should do?
I think it is essential for Bawaslu to be involved in this dialogue between all the different stakeholders, and that needs to lead to the identification of what is the role of all the different institutions, be it state institutions and non-state institutions, and for the role of Bawaslu and other institutions to be clearly identified. Another common problem we see around the world is that various institutions have a role, but it's not clearly identified what it is. And when that role is not clearly identified, oversight becomes very, very difficult.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Magnus, for your time. It's very pleasure to have you in here, and hope to the future that we can have many communication with IFES and Bawaslu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Itulah wawancara singkat saya dengan Mr. Magnus dari IFES yang baru saja melakukan kunjungan ke Bawaslu dan memaparkan tentang bagaimana pengelolaan keuangan dalam pemilu dan pencegahan politik uang dalam penyelenggaraan pemilu. Terima kasih.